While it's true people don't always welcome or readily accept change, we do know that change often brings improvements, especially in software. I mentioned that one of the loudest complaints that we heard with the release of 2007 was that custom toolbars had been taken away. Why they had to go to begin with was that the features were just so buried that people couldn't find them, and those who did know where they were still had to go through way too many clicks to get to them. Hence the efforts to make their own toolbars. In doing so, they figured they had one-click access. Even though when given a chance, the ribbon is actually much more intuitive and exposes a lot of those features, and it's much more useful than the old toolbars ever were, people still want to be able to customize things, and being able to just customize the quick access bar wasn't quite good enough. So in 2010, drumroll please, we have the ability to customize the ribbon. This, in my opinion, is much better than custom toolbars ever were. So check this out. From the backstage view, we can actually come down almost all the way to the bottom and click on Options. This brings up the Options dialog that is very similar to what we had in 2007 by going to the bottom of the Microsoft Office button menu or list and clicking the button labeled Word Options or Excel Options or PowerPoint Options. Now they've made it more generic and it's just options in every one of the applications, even though at the top of the window it does specifically tell us what application we're customizing. Now we're not going to go through this because this is a new features course. Most of this is the same, but what is new is on the left near the bottom and it says Customize the Ribbon. This interface and process is going to be very familiar if you've customized the quick access bar in Office 2007 or even 2010, except now we use it to also be able to customize the ribbon itself, and I just love this. If we take a look at the right-hand side, we see that all of our first level entries are tabs. We have the Home tab, the Insert tab, the Page Layout tab, and so forth. If you expand those out, for example, we have Home expanded, we can then see the groups within a tab, the clipboard group, the font group, the paragraph group. And then if we expand those, we of course can see individual options or maybe even groups of options. So this kind of exposes the structure of the ribbon, and it also gives us the ability to customize it. What I'd like to do is go ahead and make a simple customization. Not do everything, but to show you basically how it works. So remember, I've clicked on the Home tab. Now I'm going to look at the bottom right side of the window. Here I can either create a new group in the current tab, or I can create a new tab in itself. I'm going to click New Tab. It gets added, and it currently says just New Custom Tab. I'm going to click on that, and of course I want to rename that. And I'm going to go ahead and just give it my name. If you're working in a business environment and you're creating customized ribbon elements to share with others, you might want to name these things according to departments or processes or workflows. But for our example here, just my name is fine. So I'll make that change, and then I'll go ahead and click OK or press Enter. All right, so far so good. We now have the Aaron tab. But now I need to populate that tab. So I can come down and I can select New Group. Now I need to customize this name as well. So let's do Rename. And when we rename a group, you see that we actually get the option to work with some icons as well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time picking these. I'm going to go ahead and just do maybe a smiley face. It's on the right side, about 4 rows down. And then I am going to give it a new display name, and let's call it Picture Tools. So I select that. Just get rid of it by pressing backspace or delete and call it Pictures. Then of course again I can press Enter or OK. Alright, so we've now customized this. Now what do I want to do? Well, I want to go ahead and add some controls. This is where I need to go back to the left-hand side. And there are several ways we can access things. We can look at the most popular commands. These are probably already on the ribbon because that's what the ribbon does, is show us the popular commands. It also can show us commands that are not in the ribbon. Now that could be really nice because those are kind of buried and harder to find. I can look at all commands. I can work specifically with macros. I can work with things from the File tab or the Backstage view, all of my tabs, the main tabs, the tool tabs, or I can even reference other custom tabs and groups. Whew, that's a lot of stuff. Again, we'll just keep this demonstration simple by clicking on 1 or 2 different options. Let's try this one first. Let's select Tool Tabs and take a look at what we have. I'm talking about pictures, and you know, I actually do see something called Picture Tools. Now this is an entire group or category. So within Picture Tools, I have one selection I can make, and that's actually formatting of pictures. If I go ahead and select that, and click Add, I want you to watch what happens to my custom design. Currently, I have the Pictures group of the Custom Errand tab selected on the right. We'd probably assume that my new entry will be added to or below the selected item, in this case to the Pictures group of my tab. When I click Add, though, Picture Tools actually gets added as a first-level feature or an actual tab in my ribbon. To understand why, we have to kind of step out of the old menu frame of mind, where we could have any number of cascading or fly-out menus inside of menus. With the ribbon architecture, we can't add a tab with its own set of groups and options to another tab, nor can we add it to a group on a tab. We can only add it as a tab itself. If that's a bit confusing, which it might be since this is all kind of new to us, hang on and in just a few seconds we'll see what the predefined Picture Tool tab actually contains. I think it might be clearer what the issue is with trying to add it as a group or as an option within a group and why we can't do that. Well, let's see some things, though, that we actually can add right to our new levels. So I'm going to go back up to All Commands. And I'm going to scroll kind of quickly because I know what I'm looking for. But I do recommend that you take some time and scroll slowly the first few times you take a look at this list so you can see and appreciate just how many tools, commands, and options you have available to you in 2010. I'm looking for some specific things to work with my images. One of those is going to be brightness and contrast. Well, fortunately, this is an alphabetical list, so I'm just using the scroll wheel on my mouse, coming down to the B's, slowing down when I get to BR, and there's brightness and contrast. So I want to make sure that I have that selected, but I also want to make sure that I have the appropriate location selected. So we'll do one, then the other, then we'll add, and now you can see we're getting the hierarchy that we expected. Let me add just one or two more. Let's see if we can find an option for color tone. Now again, you may not be familiar with what these are because these are some of the new features available in 2010, but we'll get to them. If I scroll down and find Colors, Column Select, there it is, Color Tone, and Add, and let me do one more. Let's do Save As Picture. Now for that one, I know I have to go all the way down to the S's, and yes, I could also drag the scroll box as well. You can see how many features there are. I don't actually know. I like a lot of statistics, but I have no idea how many total commands there are. I believe in 2010 there's something over about 500 possible commands that you can do in each application. We got down to the P's, R's, here we come up to the S's. There we go, Save As, and now there's a lot of different Save As, so I want to make sure I do the right one. Save As Picture, and Add. Now all I'm going to do is click OK on the bottom right, and ta-da! You can now see that I have the Errand tab. The Errand tab has a group called Pictures. Currently, nothing is available because I don't have a picture selected. So let me click on an image that's currently on my document, and now you can see that some of them are available. And again, we'll get into this when we talk specifically about Picture Tools. But notice that when I select an image, it doesn't necessarily mean all of the tools are available. They have to be appropriate based on file type and all of those types of things. So in short, we can see that my tab worked, we can see that my group worked, and that my options are here. I just can't use them quite yet with what I have available. But we also have to remember that we can force an item to be shown on the ribbon through our customizations, but the same rules apply as they do to the default ribbon. Having it visible doesn't necessarily mean it will be active or functional unless we also have the appropriate content selected. Contextual tabs and options that we add, just like an active menu item in toolbars in older versions, are only active when the content is appropriate too. So in this example, by selecting an image, I can make Save As Picture an available option, but I can't force the other two to be active since they are not appropriate for a clip art type image. I can also see my Format tab I inserted is here, and when I look at it, I can now clearly see why it couldn't be added as a group within a group or even a group on my personal tab. It has its own complete structure of groups and options that by definition means it has to be a tab. If I want to get back into customizing my ribbon quickly, I don't have to go through the backstage view. I can always just right-click anywhere on the ribbon, choose Customize the Ribbon, and I can come back in here and continue to make changes until I get it the way that I want. I did want to point out on the bottom right of this window that you can import and export these. So if you create something wonderful and you want to share it with your family, friends, coworkers, whoever it may be, you can actually export it and they can import it and use it without having to recreate it. In addition, you can also reset, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and choose Reset All of the Customizations. It'll ask, are you sure? And I'll say, yes, I am. And then I'll say, OK. And with that, you can see that my custom tabs are gone, and I'm back to the default ribbon structure. Now, of course, normally I'd be doing a lot more customization and work to bring in all of the tools I want and organize them into the way that works for me, especially for specialized tools that aren't usually shown in the ribbon, like Save As Picture. But you get the idea. It doesn't end there, though. You can also right-click the ribbon, import, export, reset. We really have a lot of functionality here. I can't tell you for sure whether this was always intended to be the way, or if Microsoft just listened to the feedback and said, you know what, people really want to be able to customize the ribbon like they customize toolbars. Regardless, the ability to work with the new interface is a fabulous improved feature, even with some new enhancements and new functionality in 2010 that we simply didn't see in any of the prior Office versions.